Home run heroes are taking over in April. Fernando Tatis just reminded baseball he can dominate from anywhere on the diamond.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, man, I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat it low in the way you can't hit it. You know you want to start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walk it back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the bullpen, oh yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We are bringing it back to the bullpen like we do Monday through Friday every week at noon on YouTube on the Locked On MLB channel. I'm Brett Chansey. He is Mike Stanton. You know him from his 19-year Major League career. And on the mic with me for the last 3 years, we've been on the mic or behind the camera for about 2 decades total combined. Man, that's a lot of talking and a lot of baseball.
That's a lot of BS. That's what that's a lot of.
That is a lot of, and you know what? They're here to have us, and we're on.
And we got more to come.
That's right, man. We're on the #1 sports podcasting network in America. We thank y'all for tuning in. So today we're gonna talk about some home run heroes. We're gonna talk about the Minnesota Twins really getting things launched in Minnesota. They aren't the contender. I mean, I didn't think they were going to be the contenders early in the season. There wasn't a lot of hope, I guess, outside of Minnesota. Maybe those in Minnesota had that hope, but
yeah,
they weren't. There wasn't much buzz about them. We're also going to hit on Jordan Walker. This guy is an absolute beast at the plate, and he's doing big things. Pete Alonso, maybe the polar bear has woken from his slumber. And Fernando, where do you need me to play Tatis Jr. is taking reps at other positions, Mike. And,
yeah,
you know, he is an athlete that just goes out there and simply deals. But let's get into the Twins first, because the Minnesota Twins, now early in the season, if you're trying to determine playoff standings and who's going to be in the postseason from right now, you probably want to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah,
but
no
the
doubt.
Twins are 9-7. They're 7 of their they've won 7 of their last 10, and they are simply hitting the ball, and they did a number on Crochet.
Actually, the shortest start of his career, he actually gave up. Check this out. He gave up 11 runs total. 10 of those were earned in just an inning and 2/3. Now, you're not talking about, a 5th starter for someone. No, you're talking about Garrett Crochet. You're talking about, arguably one of the top 2 or 3 pitchers in line for the Cy Young Award this year. And Boston's ace, Boston's #1. And that's a big reason why a lot of people have picked Boston to make the playoffs, is because of Garrett Crochet. And for him to go out and, when he was coming off the mound, he was kind of like deer in headlights. He really couldn't understand what just happened. But the Twins haven't just been doing this to just anyone. They beat Tarek Skubal. They've beaten several top flight pitchers in this little run that they've been on. Now, the thing anyone that pays attention to the American League Central knows that, they have this potential. They have the ability to hit the ball very well, to drive the ball out of the ballpark. Their question has always been more on the pitching side of this. Now, is this sustainable? Probably not. But I'll tell you what, the numbers are the numbers. I mean, they're beating some of the best pitchers that we have in Major League Baseball, and they're doing it handedly.
Yeah, they are. And to put 13 runs on a team, and of those 13 runs, 11 were in the first 2 innings. And Garrett Crochet, look, he's 2-2 on the early season, a 7.58 ERA. Was really one of the best pitchers in all of baseball, not just the American League. And it was done on 9 hits. It wasn't like Crochet was throwing the ball all over the place.
Right. And in this little run, I just found the information here. In this run that they've had, they beat Tarek Skubal. They chased him in 5 innings. They crushed Framber Valdez for 6 runs in the first inning. So this isn't something that, they're not just beating up on a fourth or fifth starter for a second-rate team. I mean, you're talking about some of the best pitchers in the American League. These guys are swinging the bat extremely well.
Well, and I'll tell you this, it's probably good for the Houston Astros that they don't face the Twins anytime soon because they're having all kinds of bad luck
Yikes.
in Houston. But, in all seriousness, I mean, look, they picked up guys like Victor Caratini in the offseason,
Mm-hmm.
a veteran who can play all over the field. He had 3 RBIs today, hit a home run. Jeffers is doing phenomenal as their starting catcher. I mean, hitting 317 in the young season.
Right.
So you got the Twins, and they've got guys like Bailey Ober, who is a 30-year-old right-hander. He is 2-0 on the young season. And look, if you want to win games, if you want to contend, your hitting and your pitching has to click. And it doesn't all have to be supreme performances every single game. But if you're getting solid performances, 6-7 innings out of your starters, saving your bullpen, and your offense is producing and putting up crooked numbers in more than 1 inning per game, you have a high chance of winning more than losing. And right now, it's about positioning yourself prior to the All-Star break.
Well, I mean, listen, we're the sample size is still incredibly small, only a couple
Very
weeks
small.
in. But obviously, you'd much rather get off to a good start than a poor start, and you would. Hitting is contagious, just like winning is contagious, just like losing is contagious. So, when you're on a team that can score runs, it does take pressure off your pitching staff. Will there be times that the pitching staff, and this is any team, the pitching staff has to pick up the hitters? Of course there is. But right now, the way the Twins are swinging the bat, man, you do not want to face them if you're an opposing pitching staff. It doesn't matter who you're running out there because they've already proven they can beat literally anyone.
And again, and this is no disrespect to the American League Central, but outside of look, I'm always going to have a little bit of like hope for the Kansas City Royals just because of Bobby Witt Jr. alone.
Right.
But all the news or all the hubbub and all the chatter in the offseason, from what I could tell, was the Blue Jays. They're going to be dominant like they were last year. The
Right.
Yankees. Now the Orioles have Pete Alonso. And the American League East just tends to dominate the news cycle. And that American League Central, the Guardians always seem to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Royals, who I think they'll be in it in the end. The Twins and the Tigers haven't even done what I really think they can do. Their pitchers
they've gotten off
haven't
to a poor
pitched.
start.
Yeah. I mean, their pitchers haven't pitched great. I mean, Framber Valdez has looked mid, has looked okay. He's not reached his potential. I mean, Scooble. I mean, this guy's coming off back-to-back Cy Youngs, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
He is on a torrid stretch, and it is hard to remain dominant, even as one of the frontline starters. Speak to that before we go to our next segment. How does a top flight pitcher maintain that edge?
Well, a lot of it has to do with just your own competitiveness. It's not a situation that you're always on top of your game because, talking about going back to the story of Garrett Crochet, there's real question whether he's healthy. His velocity was down a full 2 miles an hour. That is a big, big jump.
Wow.
That's a big decrease. So, we'll keep our fingers crossed that this was just a bad day. This isn't something that could linger. Because the Red Sox fans absolutely need him. But it's really about making sure you get your work in, trying to stay even keel, and just going out and executing your game plan. It's not about wins and losses, which, wins and losses for the team means everything. But for individuals, it's a team sport. And that's why we see Cy Young winners now, that you don't have to have a great win-loss record as long as you have, a good ERA and you're pitching innings and strikeouts and all that kind, all the big numbers, all the secondary numbers are good. You have a chance of winning an award. So most of these guys, what they are is they're very even keeled. They're not on any kind of emotional roller coaster. But it was interesting to see that Garrett Crochet was kind of in shock when he walked off the mound. Just couldn't believe that he had just had a start like that. But like I said, this wasn't something that the Twins, this wasn't an aberration. The Twins have done this before.
Yeah, exactly. And that's that's what it is about baseball, is finding that consistency, finding where you're not getting too high, not getting too low. And speaking of that, in our next segment, we're gonna talk about Jordan Walker and how he's been able to be so successful on the early season there in St. Louis. All right, I want to welcome you all in again to Back to the Bullpen. I want to tell you about our friends at TurboTax. Look, it is that time of year, and I know what you're saying. I hate doing my taxes. Well, you know what? I do too. But see, we're going to give you an upgrade this season. And you know how we're going to do that? We are absolutely going to do that by making sure that you get to see someone in person. You tried booking the appointment. It's not the most convenient times they give you. You tried sitting in the waiting room with stacks of papers, email back and forth, wondering if you're really going to get your situation taken care of. But see, this year, with this upgrade, Intuit TurboTax has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with the real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. That's right. It goes with you. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's a relief walking in, meeting a real person, and walking out knowing that your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. I also want to tell you about the Everydayer Club. The Everydayer Club is for you, and I've got a special just for you. Thank you for listening to this show. I want to give you a full month of the Everydayer Club for free. Just go to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer and use the code FINALLY. You'll unlock every episode ad-free, get access to our private listener group chat, tap the link in the show notes, and use the code FINALLY to claim your free month today. All right, Mike. We want to talk about Jordan Walker now.
Yeah.
The St. Louis Cardinals have quite the history when it comes to home run hitters. Albert Pujols, Mark McGwire, Stan the Man Musial, Scott Rowland. Of that list, I actually have met 3 of those 4 baseball players. Stan Musial was an amazing person. Mark McGwire, just as nice, and Albert Pujols, just a saint of a guy.
Yeah.
But
you can throw Scott Rowland in there too.
Yeah, Scott. Well, but see, Scott Rowland's the one guy that I haven't met. I've met the other 3, right? But I'm sure Scott Rowland's a good dude. No offense to Scott Rowland.
Yeah, you don't want to offend Scott. That's a big dude. It's a big, strong dude.
You know what? He is. He is sneaky.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if he's as big. Jordan Walker's a beast. I saw him play in person in 2023 in his first spring training, and oh my gosh, I was like, this dude is a giant. Well, he comes out. He's got a league leading 8 home runs, a 1167 OPS, and he's matched Scott Rowland, Mark McGwire, and Stan Musial. Only Albert Pujols has been hotter to start his career, where he had, I believe, 11 home runs.
Yeah.
But Mike, this guy basically says, I trust my game plan, I trust the process, and I just go to work.
Yeah. So he's listed at 6'6", 250. So yes, this is a large human being. Now we'd have to check the ABS numbers to see if he actually shrunk or if he actually is 6'6".
I don't know. He might be 6'9".
He is very well. It's not the NBA. They don't go that way.
I know.
But I'll tell you what, he's got a really nice swing. Now, the one thing that Aaron Judge, same thing, these big guys, those are big strike zones. But right now, he's putting great swings on the ball. He's got tremendous power. I don't know if I'm really ready to put him in the same category as Albert Pujols and Stan the Man. But right. Hey, the numbers are, it's a small sample size, but he is leading Major League Baseball in home runs right now with 8. And he hadn't hit very many cheapies.
No.
Now, is this something that is sustainable? Well, only time will tell, but I think the odds are probably against him because if you look at his numbers that he's put up in his career, um, there's always been quite a bit of swing and miss, and a big guy with a big swing, that's fine. And listen, we've seen, well, you go back to Mike Trout, his MVP. I mean, he's striking out over 200 times. He's winning MVPs. Aaron Judge, same thing. He's striking out a boatload, but when he hits the ball, the ball gets blasted out of the ballpark. I mean, it stays hit. And, Jordan is kind of that way also. So I think that, we'll have to wait and see exactly what ends up happening because listen, the league is going to make adjustments to him. If he's going to be able to make the pitchers put the ball in the zone, he's obviously got a much better chance of driving the ball out of the ballpark, but we're going to have to wait and see. I'm not ready to jump on the bandwagon just yet.
Right.
I want to see what he does when pitchers start making a little, adjustments here and there. And if he can make those adjustments back to the pitchers, because that's really what this all is all about.
And when you listen to home run hitters, as we call them as fans, a home run hitter does not call themselves a home run hitter unless you're probably Barry Bonds or someone like that, right?
But Barry probably didn't do that either. But
true. Chipper Jones. I mean, even Mark McGwire of all people said, I don't try to hit home runs. I just swing the bat. And I remember hearing that because I was a big Mark McGwire guy growing up. Loved his swing. I mean, you would see guys like Movan. You would see guys like Canseco. Yeah. I'm talking about Carlos Delgado, all those guys around that era. And you were just like, that guy's a home run hitter. And every time I heard a home run hitter interviewed, they'd be like, yeah, I'm not trying to hit home runs. I'm just trying to make contact. And you're like,
that's what Jordan is saying. Jordan is saying, I'm trusting the process. The game, there's other things. The game is slow right now. The pitchers may be throwing hard, but he's reacting well. He's making the pitchers put the ball in the strike zone. Those are all things that all hitters do. But when you're 6'6", 250, you get the ball in the air, the ball's got a chance of going out of the ballpark quite often.
So the ball's looking like a grapefruit or a beach ball right now for him, not a BB. And that is where the strategy comes in for the planning to pitch against him is finding where he tends to swing and miss, getting the ball. If it's elevated for him in the zone, for him, it may be low in the zone. I haven't looked at his heat map, but the thing is, his most recent home run, he ambushed a fastball first pitch. And so he probably won't be seeing a lot of first pitch fastballs in the next few games, I would think, if they're planning.
Here's what's happening more than anything else. When guys put together hot streaks like this, what they're doing is when they get mistakes, they're putting good swings on, or they're hitting the ball hard. I mean, that's what really happens. It's not that he's doing anything different. And, the whole idea of keeping it simple and trusting the process and all that, it's not rocket science. Make the pitcher throw strikes. If the pitcher puts the ball in the middle of the plate, put a swing on it and hit it hard. I mean, that's really it. If pitchers, when hitters are in quote unquote slumps, seems like every time I go out there, I'm 0-2. Yeah. That's because the pitcher's putting the ball where he wants to. And, pitchers, every at-bat, pitchers are going to make a mistake. It could be the first pitch. It could be the 10th pitch. But what you have to do is you have to figure out how to get to that 10th pitch. And when he does make the mistake, you have to have the control of your swing to put the swing on it, put the bat on the ball, hopefully get the ball in the air, and then the ball goes out of the ballpark.
Yeah, and there was an at-bat, and the matchup escapes me, but there was a 13 pitch at bat. It might have been the Astros and Mariners where the 13th hit or the 13th pitch, the guy hit it, got a hold of it. Right. And you hear the term spoiling pitches, but if you ambush them at first, you don't have to spoil anything. And that's what you're trying to do, because sometimes the pitcher tries to get ahead with that fastball, try to establish the strike zone.
Well, I can tell you that pitcher did not try to throw the ball right down the middle. Okay, that pitch was going to a corner, either inside or outside, or maybe he was going up or down or wherever. But if you're just center cutting the plate, usually those are not what you're trying to do as a major league pitcher.
The hitter is hunting middle. The pitcher's not trying to throw middle.
That's right.
I think. See, I've learned a thing or two from you, Mike. But hey, our last segment, what I want to do is I want to touch on Pete Alonso, but I also want to talk about Fernando Tatis because
Yeah.
he's just one of those special players. He's an athlete, and it seems like, you know what, Fernando, we need you to, I don't know, catch, pitch, whatever. I'm just saying he could probably do it all, but we'll talk about that next. Hey, everybody, thank y'all for tuning in to Back to the Bullpen. I want to tell you about our friends at Rocket Money. Rocket Money is here to help you. Why? Because so many of us have so many bills and so many things that we just don't know where our money is and what our money is doing. And so, that with your bank accounts, you've probably saying, where did my money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming fast. I use Rocket Money and I love it. And here is where it comes in. It helps you take control of your finances all in one place. It tracks all your subscriptions in one spot. You can cancel the ones you don't need in a few taps. It automatically categorizes your spending so you can actually see where your money's going, and you can set budgets, get alerts, stay on top of upcoming bills. It just makes everything more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances from day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lowering your bills so you can grow your savings. So let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/locked on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked on. Go there today. Oh, I removed myself, and we are back. There we go. Little technical difficulties there. Before we get to Tatis, I want to talk about Pete Alonso because he came to Baltimore, the polar bear, to hit home runs, to be that deep threat. Not to play first base, but to be that deep threat. And he was mired in a slump before he helped the Birds take the lead in their most recent game. Hitting a home run, only his second of the season. But it's important that the Birds get him going because right now they're currently in a three-way tie for first, obviously small sample size. But Mike, how important is it for Pete Alonso, the polar bear, to be an integral part of this offense?
Well, I mean, he was a big free agent signing for Baltimore, and it was kind of looked at as they kind of took him and stole him away from the Mets. And I know a lot of Mets fans, even the Mets organization, I think was a little shocked that he went anywhere. But listen, he's changing leagues. I've always said that is an issue. He went from the National League. Now, yes, you have interleague play and everything, but different stadiums, different hitting backgrounds. They were at home in Baltimore. You got to find a place to live, got to find the grocery store. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can be distractions for a player that goes to a new place, whether it's via trade or free agency. And we've seen this from Pete before. Pete isn't necessarily a strong starter. He's not also a bad starter. He's done both as far as starting the beginning of the season. But there are times he's a big dude. He's got a big swing, and sometimes that big swing doesn't produce, and that's kind of what's happened here at the beginning of the season. And he actually had been booed from by the hometown crowd, and I think Pete would tell you, probably rightly so, because he really has not swung the bat well the way you would expect a guy with the pedigree that Pete Alonso has. But this was a big swing. Bottom of the seventh, down by one, gets a hanging slider, drives the ball out of the ballpark, left center field. What I liked about this was his celebration, because we know that Pete doesn't keep his emotions inside.
No.
There was some celebration. You could actually almost see the monkey jump off his back as he was rounding the bases. But what I liked even more than that was the same fan base that had been so hard on him turned around and they were going nuts. It was a 2-run home run. They take an 8-7 lead. They end up winning the baseball game. So that was great to see. And, Pete will tell you flat out, if he's playing well, he'll be humble about it, but he'll let you know. But if he's not playing well, he's going to tell you the same thing. But this was a big swing, not just for the Orioles. This was a big swing for Pete Alonso.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, when you look at what he's done, Mike, in his career, 53 home runs in 2019, and then after that, I mean, outside of the 2020 season, hasn't hit fewer than 34 home runs in a
Yeah.
season. I mean, he's at 266 for his career. So he does have that reputation, and you know he is a team player. He is a team leader, and so Baltimore did get more than just a slugger in Pete Alonso, and
Right.
so I think he's a good clubhouse guy. And the Baltimore Orioles, look, if their pitching can step up, if their young talent, the Gunnar Hendersons, you know, Jackson Holiday's obviously been on the shelf,
Right.
you know, first part of the year, but you've got guys in that clubhouse that are just really solid major league players. The Orioles can really make a run for that AL East,
Yeah. They
but
underachieved last year. There's no doubt about it. They
they
were a
did.
better team than they showed last year, and it's good to see them get off to a solid start. I think they're 9-7,
Yes.
tied for first place in the East. That's not a great start. 2 games over 500. You'll take it just about any time, but they're doing what they need to do until you get on a roll. And I think this is how this American League East is going to be, because these teams, even though they don't play as much as they used to, you know, we used to play inside division 19 times, but they still play 13 times. And I think that
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of beating up on each other. And I wouldn't be surprised if we did see the win total coming out of the American League East being in the low 90s to mid 90s, not anywhere at 100, just because there's so many good teams in that division.
Definitely. Now, shifting out west, Fernando Tatis made his first start at second base.
Mm-hmm.
A platinum glove right fielder moving into the infield. Look, this guy is literally the consummate coach. Just tell me where to play, and I'll play.
Well, because he has that kind of ability to start off with. I mean, this is one of the best athletes that we have in Major League Baseball. If you remember, he got called up. He was a shortstop. He was a good shortstop. He wasn't a
Yes,
great shortstop. Has an absolute cannon for an arm. And at shortstop, there were occasions that that cannon kind of would go astray. Put him in right field, and he's been an absolute natural. Okay, he hasn't won the platinum glove once. He's won the platinum glove twice, and he's only been
wow,
out there for 3 years. And the other year that he didn't win it, he was hurt. So he was nursing an injury. So you can't really even count that one. The question is, why are they moving him into second base? Well, he's a backup second baseman. He's not a guy that's going to play all the time. But if they need to spell somebody, you need to spell Xander Bogaerts. You need to have moving parts. And Tatis, has been a middle infielder his whole life, except for the couple years he's been playing in the outfield. So it's natural to bring him in. The question is, why did they do it? I think there's something else involved here, even though he is a game changer in right field, winning the platinum glove twice. I think that, let's do a hypothetical situation. You're in free agency. You need second base is a place that you need to bring someone in. You need a free agent. You need, hopefully somebody that can swing the bat a little bit, but it can also field the position.
right.
Where are you going to have more power come in? You're going to have more power come in from one of the corner outfields. So if you needed to bring him on the infield, and it looks like he's open for whatever you want to do, you bring him in the infield, you might be able to put another bat in right field. So, and that would just give you some more fluidity in your roster. And
Yeah,
to have an athlete like this is truly remarkable. I think he could probably play anywhere you asked him to play. And it's all about the mindset of the player. It's not about whether he can physically do it. He can play anywhere, including catcher. I don't think he wants to get back there. First foul ball, he goes, "Okay, come get me. I'm done. I'm out."
that was my
Um,
see. That was my favorite position growing
yeah,
up. Was playing catcher, but
yeah.
um,
We all know you have a screw loose, because all catchers have screw looses.
oh my
Screw
gosh,
loose.
you know what? But see, I loved playing catcher because in my day, runners actually did not attempt to slide, and they tried to take you out. And I did stand my ground. And I don't remember the kid's name, but I know he was from Liberty, Texas. He tried to take me out. He bowed me over. I came out with the ball in my glove. Umpire said the runner's out and he's out of the ball game. He didn't make an attempt to slide. So
There you go.
yeah, and I'm sure the Padres don't want Tatis behind the plate making that contact.
No.
But seriously, I just thought it was worth mentioning. Just because he is, I mean, and he's such a fun player to watch.
He is.
You know,
he's one of the guys that you'll pay to watch because, like you said, it's not just that he's a tremendous outfielder. He's a tremendous personality. He's an incredible hitter. I mean, this is one of the best guys we have. I know he had some issues early in his career, and we won't go over that. He has put that behind him. He's a fan favorite in San Diego. I think he's a fan favorite all over Major League Baseball.
Oh man, I mean, yeah, big time. Yeah. You know, and I remember seeing him when he was in AAA come through town. And then
you know what's crazy is he was not a high draft pick. You know, this wasn't a first round draft pick. This was, he's son of a former big leaguer, and that probably had something to do. But I want to say I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I want to say he was like a 10th round draft pick or something.
Yeah. You know what? I just had his profile pulled up. Yeah. I'm not sure where he was picked off the top of my head, but he's definitely one of the guys that you will pay to go see. I mean, look, not that I like seeing players come into town and hit home runs off of my favorite team, but when he does it and he does his little home run trot around the bases, you can't help but be entertained. Of course, that's when you love to boo the guy, right? When he's trying to show you up. But Mike, this has been a great show. We covered a lot of real estate, from Crochet to Walker, from Alonso to Tatis Jr. And we want to thank y'all for tuning in to Back to the Bullpen. Look, we want you to stop by. We want you to ask questions, leave comments. Like Mike has said in the past, if there's something you want to talk about, let us know.
Heck yeah.
Bring us the topic. We'll address it. Ask Mike some questions. Mike has a wealth of knowledge. He's got stories. We haven't even broken into the story cupboard of Mike's. He has got some really cool stories, and we'll try to get into those throughout the season. But, for myself and Mike here, this has been another great Back to the Bullpen session from the #1 sports podcasting network in America, Locked On. Y'all have a good one. And as always, play ball.
Adios.